Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lin. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour. Those rejected by the people are trying to control Parliament, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Prime Minister to inaugurate the ICA Global Cooperative Conference in New Delhi. 2025 is to be the International Year of Cooperatives. G7 foreign ministers to meet in Italy. India's EAM Jai Shankar attending the meeting as a special invitee. And in cricket, India achieve a mammoth win against Australia in Perth. The winter session of India's Parliament commenced on Monday morning but faced early disruptions leading to the adjournment of both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha for the day. The lower house or the Lok Sabha was adjourned minutes after the Speaker Om Birla read the obituary reference and the House paid silent tribute to the departed souls. The opposition members then created a ruckus in the Rajya Sabha demanding a discussion on the Adani indictment issue, leading to adjournment. Both the houses will remain adjourned till 11 a.m. local time on the 27th of November. Well, the third session of the 18th Lok Sabha and the 266th session of the Rajya Sabha will see the introduction of at least 16 bills. And these include the Muslim Waqf Repeal Bill 2024 and the Waqf Amendment Bill. These are on the agenda. Apart from the Waqf Amendment Bill, 5 bills are listed for introduction and passing in both houses of Parliament. The 5 new bills include the Merchant Shipping Bill, the Coastal Shipping Bill, the Indian Ports Bill, the Punjab Courts Amendment Bill, the Rashtriya Sahakari Vishwavidyalaya Bill. Now, the session will last till the 20th of December. It's going to have 19 sittings. Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed media persons ahead of the session, and he stressed that this parliamentary session is special in many ways, with the most significant aspect being that the 75th anniversary of the Constitution will pass through it. And he also launched a sharp critique on the opposition parties, accusing them of resorting to disruptive tactics in Parliament.
सबसे ज्यादा पीड़ा की बात यह है कि जो नए सांसद होते हैं, नए विचार, नई ऊर्जा लेकर के आते हैं, और ये किसी एक दल में नहीं, सभी दल में आते हैं, उनके अधिकारों को कुछ लोग दबोच देते हैं। सदन में बोलने का उनको अवसर तक नहीं मिलता है। लोकतांत्रिक परंपरा में हर पीढ़ी का काम है आने वाली पीढ़ियों को तैयार करे।
PM Modi urged opposition members to allow Parliament to function smoothly and hoped that time in Parliament can be utilized to further enhance India's global reputation and prestige.
मैं आशा करता हूं कि ये सत्र बहुत ही परिणामकारी हो, संविधान के 75वें वर्ष की शान को बढ़ाने वाला हो, भारत की वैश्विक गरिमा को बल देने वाला हो, नए सांसदों को अवसर देने वाला हो, नए विचारों का स्वागत करने वाला हो। इसी भावना के साथ मैं फिर एक बार सभी माननीय सांसदों को उमंग और उत्साह के साथ इस सत्र को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए निमंत्रित करता हूं, स्वागत करता हूं।
Well, DD India's Vishal Barristow now joins us from Parliament with more on the story. Well, Vishal, day one is adjourned. So what are the opposition's reasons for disruption in the Rajya Sabha?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Mark. Yes, and it's not only day one because the business can only be transacted on Wednesday. Both houses have been adjourned till Wednesday. Tomorrow being the Constitution Day, so there would be no business in the Parliament. As we talk about the disruptions, the opposition was very much vocal about the symbol violence in the lower house of the Parliament, and the Treasury benches have been accusing the opposition of playing vote bank politics in the state of Uttar Pradesh. While in the upper house, the leader of opposition, Mr. Kharge, he insisted that there should be a discussion, immediate discussion on the issue of the financial irregularities against Indian business tycoon Gautam Adani. So both houses stand adjourned, unfortunately, despite of the Prime Minister requesting and appealing to the opposition parties to sit and be responsible to the country and behave responsibly. There has been disruptions in both houses, and now both houses stand adjourned till Wednesday. Mark?
Right, indeed. Vishal, also the Parliamentary Affairs Minister said that the government is willing to discuss any issue on the floor of the House. So one, wonders why disruptions take place, because is there proper procedure being followed to list, business for discussion?
Well, both sides have their own statements, while the opposition says that it is all right to bring important issues before the House. The leader of the House, and when we talk about the Speaker in the lower house and the chairman in the upper house, they do not agree to the attitude of the government, to the opposition, I beg your pardon. And let me also tell you that after the House was adjourned in the lower house, a delegation of the opposition parties, they met the Speaker and they wrote to the Speaker about the Waqf board bill, and they said that the Joint Parliamentary Committee, which is expected to give its report on the last working day of the Parliament, should be the tenure needs to be extended, because 3 months' time is not enough, and the President and the man heading the Joint Parliamentary Committee does not agree to the demand. So they have met the Speaker, and the Speaker seems to have agreed and has given a kind of assurance that he would look into the matter, and the opposition thinks that there would be an extension to the tenure of the Joint Parliamentary Committee as far as the Waqf board bill is concerned. While in the upper house, the ruckus continued on the issue of Gautam Adani. So I'm still not sure whether there would be transaction, any business would be transacted on Wednesday. But let's hope that after the assurance given by the Speaker in the lower house, there would be some business, especially in the Lok Sabha on Wednesday. Mark?
Yes, certainly we hope that, Vishal. But, just from the government's point of view, from the Treasury's point of view, they elected to power. They have a plan, in fact, to set up a Viksit Bharat by 2047. They need legislation to be passed. There are bills that are pending. What's expected from an ordinary voter's point of view, somebody who has put people in Parliament? What is expected from the Treasury's legislative agenda? I mean, is it going to be passed easily?
Well, not pass easily, Mark, but given by the numbers, the Treasury has the numbers, so definitely they would have their say. But after the recent elections, especially talking about the general elections, the number of opposition has grown up. So they have some more strength in the Parliament, and that is why they are trying to reinforce their voice, reinforce their unity. But still, they are a divided house, because the opposition, mainly led by the Congress party in both the houses, does not have that kind of authority over all the opposition parties, especially the Trinamool Congress, who wants to have its own way. Trinamool does not always have the same, not always on the same page as Congress is. So opposition is a divided house, despite their numbers have increased in comparison to the last general elections. The Treasury will still have its say. The bills would be passed, but as far as the ruckus in the houses, both the houses of the Parliament, well, the opposition is hell-bent that they would like their voices to be heard, and they are accusing the Treasury benches that they are not allowing the opposition to exercise their rights in the Parliament, while the Treasury in Parliament has accused opposition of disrupting the House proceedings and not allowing the House to function, which is very, very unfortunate.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Vishal Barrister, for joining us from Parliament House with the latest. Now, moving on then, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the ICA Global Cooperative Conference 2024 in the capital, which is New Delhi, in a short while from now. And with the theme, Cooperatives Build Prosperity for All, this conference aligns with India's Sahkar Se Samriddhi vision. It will focus on the role of cooperatives in achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The Prime Minister Modi, will also launch the UN International Year of Cooperatives 2025, which is themed Cooperatives Build a Better World, and unveil a commemorative postal stamp symbolizing India's commitment to the cooperative movement. The event will be attended by Bhutan's Prime Minister Dasho Tshering Tobgay and Fiji's Deputy Prime Minister Manawa Kamikamika, and around 3,000 delegates from over 100 countries. So let's now tell you what this International Cooperative Alliance is about. The ICA is a global organization that unites, represents and serves cooperatives around the world. And it was founded way back in 1895 in London. It is one of the oldest and largest non-governmental organizations, which represents 1 billion cooperative members, that is, globally. And with approximately 3 million cooperatives across the planet, the ICA serves as the apex body for the cooperative movement. It has over 306 member organizations across 105 countries. 2024 ICA Global Conference will mark a historic milestone as it takes place in India for the first time. The conference theme is Cooperatives Build Prosperity for All, which highlights people-centric, purpose-driven and progress-oriented nature of cooperatives. India has been a central figure in the development and success of the International Cooperative Alliance, the Asia-Pacific. And India also has been a driving force in shaping cooperative models that have had a profound impact across the Asia-Pacific region. India's cooperative movement is deeply ingrained in its socio-economic fabric. India's cooperative movement also reflects values of unity, mutual aid and collective prosperity. The cooperative sector in India spans various domains such as agriculture, banking, housing and rural development. Cooperatives have been instrumental in empowering marginalized communities. The Indian government has played an active role in supporting the cooperative model. In 2021, the Ministry of Cooperation, it was established and it has strengthened the cooperative sector in India further. Our next story, India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will be participating in the 10th edition of the Mediterranean Dialogue in Rome. It is being organized by the Institute for International Political Studies in collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the International Cooperation of Italy. During the visit, the AM will also participate in the outreach session of the G7 Foreign Ministers meeting, where India has been invited as a guest country. He is also expected to meet his counterparts from Italy and other participating nations in the G7-related engagements and hold bilateral discussions during the visit. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. Well, the UN Secretary General slams renewed threat of anti-personnel landmines by the US. And Uruguay's left, it returns to the presidency as the government vows friendly transition. And Australia's Prime Minister lays down privacy fears of social media ban on children.
He's an author, a thinker and a scholar of international relations. Why are these 7 friends of India and why not the others?
They are partners, but they are very strategic partners. If you want to stretch the friends analogy, they are best friends or maybe best friends forever for India. All the elements we have to be an equal of China and of the United States. We have the population, we have the size, we have the geopolitical location in the heart of the Indian Ocean region.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lin. Now, on the heels of the contentious climate talks in Azerbaijan, negotiators from around the globe descended on Busan, which is in South Korea. They are there from today for another formidable goal. This is to hammer out the world's first treaty designed to tackle plastic pollution's explosive growth. The talks began today, but lingering divisions have cast doubts on whether a final agreement is in sight. Let's look at this report by Aarti Rana.
The 5th round of UN talks on plastic pollution is ostensibly final UN Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee meeting after the previous round of talks in Ottawa ended without a path forward on capping plastic production. The 5th session of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee will try and hammer out an international legally binding instrument on plastic pollution. The debate is expected to focus on whether the deal should seek to slash production. Major producers such as Saudi Arabia and China have urged less contentious strategies such as waste management. Negotiators are working towards the first ever global plastic treaty that addresses not just how plastics are discarded, but also how much plastic is produced and how it is used. The treaty could become the most significant pact to address global climate warming emissions since the 2015 Paris Agreement. Ahead of the meeting, climate activists have been marching, displaying artworks made of plastic waste and calling for the plastic treaty to call legally binding power. Key to any accord will be the United States and China. Earlier this year, Washington raised hopes among environmentalists by signaling support for some limits on production. The election of Donald Trump has raised questions about how ambitious the US delegation will be. Final agreement is due in December, making this one of the fastest UN-led treaty efforts to date. Aarti Rana's report for DD India.
Well, the UN Secretary General has slammed the renewed threat of anti-personnel landmines by US on Monday. The comments came days after the United States said that it would supply the weapons to the conflict-stricken Ukraine. Washington's announcement of sending anti-personnel landmines to Kiev was immediately criticized by human rights campaigners. The ongoing U.S. administration is aiming to give Ukraine an upper hand before President-elect Donald Trump enters office. Well, as the Russia-Ukraine conflict escalates, at least 10 people were injured in an attack on Ukraine's northeastern city of Kharkiv. Now, the attack caused a fire on one of the city's central streets and damaged civilian infrastructure and cars. In another attack, Russian forces attacked energy infrastructure in Ukraine's southern region of Mykolaiv. Earlier, Russian air defense systems destroyed 7 Ukrainian missiles overnight over the Kursk region. Earlier, in a precautionary move, air defenses were in operation in Kiev late on Sunday as Ukraine shot down 50 of the 73 Russian drones on Saturday. The drones were downed over Ukrainian cities of Kiev, Cherkasy, Kirovohrad, Cherniv, Sumy, Poltava, Zhytomyr oblasts. In response to the attack, President Volodymyr Zelensky called on Ukraine's Western partners to concentrate their efforts on helping to provide a better air defense system. Georgia's new parliament convenes for its first session on Monday amid opposition protests over an alleged rigging of the elections. So the opposition continues to stage protests in Tbilisi as the pro-Western opposition parties have refused to enter the new parliament. which they deem as illegitimate. Georgia's Election Commission has officially confirmed the Georgian Dream's victory with 54% of the vote, although two US pollsters commissioned by the opposition have said that the result is statistically impossible. Uruguay's center-left opposition candidate Yamandu Ori secured victory in the presidential election with 99% of the votes tallied in a second-round race. Yamandu Orsi secured a small but a comfortable margin of 49.81% of the vote to the conservative Alvaro Delgado's 45.90%. Orsi addressed thousands of Broad Front Party supporters in Montevideo after the results. Both Delgado and Uruguay's president of the fellow National Party member Luis Lacalle Pou conceded the election, swiftly congratulating Orsi and offering to help with the transition after the results signaled a victory for the center-left. Orsi, Delgado and Lacalle Pou all expressed goodwill for their political opposition and pledged to work together to move the country forward. A Romanian hard-right NATO critic and center-right opposition party leader will likely face each other in the December 8 presidential runoff vote. This is after results showed in an unexpected outcome that threatens Romania's staunchly pro-Ukraine stance. With 99.9% of the votes counted, the hard-right Călin Georgescu, 62, had 22.9%, while the center-right contender Elena Lasconi was second with 19.16%. Lasconi pushed ahead of the leftist Prime Minister Marcel Cialasusu, who was a clear favorite, in fact, to win the first round, propelled by strong support from the Romanian voters living abroad. Romania's president has a semi-executive role that gives him or her control over defense spending, likely to be a difficult issue in Bucharest as it comes under pressure to uphold NATO's spending goals during Donald Trump's second term as the US president, while trying to reduce a heavy fiscal deficit. After more than a year into the Israel-Hamas conflict, calls for a ceasefire can be heard from all corners. As per the latest reports, Israel is moving towards a ceasefire agreement in Lebanon with the Hezbollah. The US mediator Amos Hochstein will in fact, he's highlighted the progress in negotiations during his visit to Beirut last week. The Israeli media reported that Netanyahu had convened a meeting of his security cabinet, but a separate report from Israel's public broadcaster Kan said that there was no green light given on an agreement in Lebanon, with issues still yet to be resolved. The European Union Foreign Policy Chief, Josep Borrell, on Sunday said a US ceasefire proposal was awaiting final approval from Israel on his visit to Lebanon. Borrell said that the EU was ready to allocate $208 million to support the Lebanese army.
These last days, it seemed that the ceasefire is coming, but it's not coming. Someone is not interested in it. And everybody should understand that the ceasefire is absolutely needed, because the Lebanon capacities to continue taking care of their people, in spite of the great efforts of these medical doctors, nurses, and hospital organizations, has a limit.
3 people have been arrested in the United Arab Emirates in connection with the murder of an Israeli citizen. The UAE ministry statement, it did not give details on the suspects or say if they had been charged, but said all legal powers would be used to respond decisively and without leniency to any actions or attempts that threaten societal stability. Zvi Kogan was a resident of the UAE and also a Moldovan national. He worked with the New York-based Orthodox Jewish Chabad. It's a movement, and also was first reported missing on Thursday, and his body was discovered on Sunday. Kogan's body was found in the Emirati city of Al Ain, which borders Oman. The body of the murdered Israeli citizen would hopefully be repatriated to Israel on Monday. Iran has rejected allegations that it was involved in the murder of the Israeli rabbi Zvi Kogan in the UAE, while the White House said that it was working in close coordination with Israel and the UAE. Israel reissued a recommendation to citizens to avoid non-essential travel to the UAE and said those now there should minimize movement, remain in secure areas and avoid visiting places associated with Israel and Jewish populations. The UAE has maintained the relationship during the 13-month Israel-Hamas conflict in Gaza. There are no official synagogues in Dubai, the UAE's biggest city and commercial hub, but the UAE's one government-approved synagogue in Abu Dhabi remains open. Shifting focus to the Asia-Pacific, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese played down privacy concerns regarding his government's proposed ban on social media for under 16 on Monday. Albanese said that firms would be required to destroy personal data used to verify the ages of users. The laws would impact Meta platforms, Instagram and Facebook, ByteDance's TikTok and Elon Musk's X and Snapchat. Platforms face fines of up to $32 million for failing to comply with the legislation.
Because we're doing more than setting a new minimum age of 16 for social media, we are setting a new community standard, making it clear that social media companies have a social responsibility and sending a message to all those mums and dads who are worried about the impact that social media is having on their children's well-being, their mental health, their confidence and their sense of self. That message is simple. We are on your side. We've got your back.
The Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos on Monday vowed to fight back against what he has called reckless and troubling threats against him. In a strongly worded video message addressing the nation, Marcos did not name the Vice President Sara Duterte, but that's his presidential running mate, but said that such criminal plans should not be overlooked. In a dramatic twist in fierce spat between Marcos and the powerful Duterte family, the daughter of the firebrand former president, Rodrigo Duterte, on Saturday said that she had instructed an assassin to kill Marcos, his wife and the lower house speaker in the event that if she was ever killed. Now, Taiwan said that it had detected a Chinese balloon over waters northwest of the island. The first such sighting since April, as Beijing maintains pressure on Taipei to accept its claims of sovereignty. Beijing regularly deploys fighter jets, drones and warships around Taiwan and occasionally balloons as it keeps up military pressure. According to the Defense Ministry, the latest balloon, it was spotted on Sunday about 111 kilometers northwest of Keelung City at an altitude of about 33,000 feet. It entered the island's air defense identification zone and disappeared at 8:15 p.m. A Pakistani government team brokered a 7-day ceasefire on Sunday, ending violent clashes between rival sectarian groups in the northwest, which had left at least 68 people dead and dozens more injured. The violence, which began on Thursday with a gunman attack on civilian convoys, primarily targeted Shiite Muslims, leading to retaliatory attacks against the Sunni residents. The mediators announced that both sides had agreed to a ceasefire with plans to extend it. The agreement also includes the exchange of prisoners, including women, and the return of the bodies of those killed. Meanwhile, a march of hundreds of supporters to demand the release of the jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan reached the fringes of Pakistan's capital of Islamabad on Monday. Authorities have enforced a security lockdown for the last 2 days to block the protesters, whom Imran Khan has called on to march to Parliament for a sit-in demonstration, which, while the highways into the city have been barricaded. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. China successfully launched two 4-dimensional high-resolution satellites, Sewai Gaoqing 203 and Sewai Gaoqing 204. into space on Monday. The satellites were carried by a Long March 2C rocket from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. A cargo plane carrying, in fact, a cargo plane has crashed into a house near Lithuania's capital, killing at least one person, injuring three. The Lithuanian Airport Authority identified the aircraft as a DHL cargo plane. It was arriving from Leipzig in Germany. A Russian Sukhoi Superjet 100 operated by Azimuth Airlines caught fire after landing at Antalya Airport in Turkey. All 89 passengers and 6 crew members were safely evacuated. Landings were temporarily suspended as authorities cleared the runway. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. Fadnavis gets the backing of Ajit Pawar for the CM's post in Maharashtra. Constitution Day to be celebrated on Tuesday. It marks 75 years since the Constituent Assembly had adopted the Constitution. Now, day 6 of IFI opens with master classes on AI in cinema.
He's an author, a thinker, and a scholar of international relations. Why are these 7 friends of India and why not the others?
They are partners, but they are very strategic partners. If you want to stretch the friends analogy, they are best friends or maybe best friends forever for India. All the elements we have to be an equal of China and of the United States. We have the population, we have the size, we have the geopolitical location in the heart of the Indian Ocean region.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lin. Now, news from India, and the government formation gains momentum in the western Indian state of Maharashtra. The BJP is holding its legislative party meeting today, which is being headed by the state BJP head Chandrasekhar Bawankule. And the meeting is also going to review the landslide victory and performance of the party. The newly elected members of the BJP will elect their legislature party leader in Mumbai today. The BJP alone has 132 seats, which is nearly a majority in the 288-member assembly. And the tally of the alliance is nearly 5 times that of the opposition alliance Mahavikas Aghadi, which was limited to 50 seats for all its partners combined. And DD India's Sha Mishra now joins us live with more on this story. Well, Shama, so, has the path been cleared for Devendra Fadnavis to be the chief minister?
As of now, no, because the final stamp that is to come on the name of the chief minister, we are awaiting that, and that will happen only after the meeting that will take place in Delhi. What we are learning is that all 3 top leaders of Shiv Sena, NCP, and here in Mumbai, in Maharashtra, BJP, Devendra Fadnavis, they will be flying down to Delhi and then decide it with the top leadership of BJP there in the capital. Because we are understanding that all 3 parties are ready to, come to a decision. They are ready to decide and discuss. But what is the name of the final candidate, that is not coming out. What we are understanding is that BJP today also held a meeting wherein they reviewed their grand victory and also the factors that led to this success. Apart from that, we saw yesterday that both NCP and Shiv Sena, they have elected their leader of the party in the Legislative Assembly. Now only BJP remains to do so. While we were expecting that the meeting would take place today, it has not taken place today as of now. So we are waiting that as well. We are also getting to know that all these 3 leaders, Eknath Shinde, Shiv Sena's Eknath Shinde, NCP's Ajit Pawar and Devendra Fadnavis of BJP are supposed to fly down in the afternoonish or evening. So that's what we are waiting for. And apart from that, let's talk about MVA also. Something is obviously bothering them. Something is wrong over there after such a bad performance. So Nana Patole of the Congress, he has already said that the talks of him giving his resignation were already on. However, the party has clarified that he has not given his resignation, but there's no smoke without fire.
Okay.
So we are expecting that to happen in a day or so. Apart from that, even Uddhav Thackeray is holding another meeting with all the winning MLAs at his residence, and there also they will definitely review what factors led to such a bad performance from the party.
Right.
From the Sharad Pawar's side, we are hearing that around November 30, their meeting with the winning MLAs will be held, and all the top leaderships will be held, because we understand that of so many years, those people who were continuously winning have lost their seat, have lost their ground in this particular battle.
Sure.
So yes, a lot of meetings going on in Maharashtra, but the final meeting that we are all awaiting for is when all these three top leaders come together and decide and come up with the name of the
Right.
chief minister.
So, Shama, you have given us an overview of what's happening there, especially with the opposition, Mahavikas Aghadi as well. But what are the expectations from the Eknath Shinde-led Shiv Sena? Because after all, he was the chief minister. It was his face that went in to this election. But really, the BJP doesn't require, too much support, and they already have that kind of support from Ajit Pawar. So maybe there's a lot of politics at play here. Ajit Pawar may be expecting a lot more by giving his support already. Are things, looking a little... is there much happening under the surface?
Well, that's the best part of Mahayuti, that whatever is happening under the surface is not coming out. It's not coming out to the Janta of Maharashtra. And even during the time when the elections were decided, when the Mahayuti were deciding their permutations and calculations, no part where they are not in a proper shape or not in a cordial shape, that came out. So that worked in their favor. This time around also the same thing is happening. Each and every party is saying that they will come together, they will discuss together, and they will come to a point. However, in the Shiv Sena's meeting yesterday, we spoke to their leaders, and now the leaders are saying that, as you rightly mentioned, that it was the Shiv Sena's Eknath Shinde's face that was used when they were saying that the next chief minister of Maharashtra or the chief minister of Maharashtra is Eknath Shinde, and under him, under his leadership, all these works have been done. So they went ahead with the leadership with the face of Eknath Shinde. However, as they came closer to the election date, to the polling date, they stopped using these terms. So that was very clear that
Right.
somewhere or the other, this was very clear that whichever party gets the maximum number of seats, their party leader, their leader would be the chief minister of Maharashtra,
Right.
and that was very clear. Now also, even if now we are speaking, that this particular fact where everything
Yes.
is not fine or everything is fine, this is not coming to the fore. But yes, each party and each party worker is wanting that their leader will be the chief minister. They want their
Okay.
leader to be the chief minister. However, this name,
Yes,
Devendra
Shama.
Fadnavis, everyone is agreeing to. So most likely that will be the name if once everything is decided.
We leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much, Sha Mishra, for joining us with that update from Mumbai. Now, ahead of the Constitution Day, which is to be observed on Tuesday, the Speaker of the lower house of India's Parliament, Om Birla, has said that all democratic institutions in the country have been working according to the Constitution and will continue to do so. He stressed that the Constitution should be kept away from politics.
संविधान में परिवर्तनशीलता संविधान बनाने वालों ने हमेशा मूल भावना रखी। उस समय परिस्थितियों के अनुसार, जनता की अपेक्षा आकांक्षाओं के अनुसार, जनता के अधिकार और पारदर्शिता के लिए भी, समाज में सामाजिक परिवर्तन के लिए भी समय समय पर संविधान में परिवर्तन हुए हैं। लेकिन किसी भी राजनीतिक दल ने, किसी भी सरकार ने संविधान की मूल भावनाओं से हस्तक्षेप नहीं किया, छेड़खानी नहीं की। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने समय समय पर देश और राष्ट्र को हमेशा कहा है कि समाज के वंचित, गरीब, पिछड़े लोगों को आज भी सामाजिक आरक्षण की आवश्यकता है, और इसीलिए उनको सामाजिक आरक्षण के साथ उनके जीवन के अंदर समृद्धि आए, उनके जीवन में सामाजिक परिवर्तन हो, उसके लिए संविधान के मूल दर्शन में सरकार काम करती है।
India's Minister of Textile, Giri Singh, inaugurated the GI and Beyond 2024 in New Delhi, showcasing the GI handloom and handicraft products across India. The objective of the event is the brand promotion of GI handloom and handicraft products among the broad spectrum of stakeholders, including overseas buyers, exporters, multinational corporations and others. The event features a special thematic display showcasing GI tagged handloom and handicraft products, where the Union Textile Minister handed over 10 new GI certificates to GI applicants during the inaugural function. The Textile Minister highlighted the importance of GI tagging of unique Indian art and handicraft items in a bid to promote them around the world. Let's take a look at other stories making the news now. The Reserve Bank of India highlighted the rapid internationalization of Unified Payments Interface, or UPI, as India leads in leveraging digital technologies. UPI hit a milestone of 16.6 billion transactions in the month of October. The government of North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh is preparing for a grand Mahakumbh in 2025 with the Nishad Raj cruise. This is a key attraction. Now the cruise, it's equipped with modern amenities and it has travelled from Varanasi to Prayagraj. The authorities are working to ensure a memorable experience for the visitors from across the world. India's Indigo Airlines has received the prestigious 2024 Airline of the Year award at the Global Aviation Awards for Excellence by the Centre for Aviation. Now, the award ceremony took place during the CAPA Airline Leader Summit in Belgrade in Serbia on Thursday. Well, day 6 of the 55th edition of the ongoing International Film Festival of India in Goa opened with master classes on topics like AI in cinema, the age of VFX in cinema, women in cinema, and a lot more. Well, apart from that, the red carpet will have the premieres of movies like The Rooster, American Warrior, and the like. So with the conclusion of the Film Bazaar and the Creative Minds of Tomorrow, the focus now shifts to critical exchanges of thoughts through masterclasses and centenary celebrations of Safarnama, which is a tribute to 100 years of Indian cinema. The renowned American filmmaker Chuck Russell has shared his insights into the iconic superhero comedies film, which is The Mask. And in an exclusive conversation with Deepika, DD India's correspondent who's in Goa, the Hollywood filmmaker talks about his super hit global film and how OTT is changing the cinematic landscape. Let's listen.
Hello and welcome to this exclusive segment here in this special edition of 55th edition of International Film Festival of India. You're watching DD India and we have with us the greatest director of Hollywood, Mr. Chuck Russell. Mr. Russell, thank you so much for joining us, talking exclusively to DD India. Thank you so much. Sir, our viewers would like to know first more about The Mask, because all of us know already that Jim Carrey rose to fame to international cinema through your movie.
I always loved talking about The Mask. My goal in The Mask was to do something universal, and it still is in my films, to do films that have a global appeal. And the fact that it was a hit in India was a big honor, but not a surprise, because the joy in dance and comedy and action in Bollywood films, even going back to when I was a kid, it had an effect on me. It probably gave me the courage to do the wild dancing in The Mask, where Jim does Cuban Pete and gets the police officers under his magic spell. It's a little bit like the boldness in a traditional Bollywood movie, where we're dancing for no reason but the joy of dancing.
But you know, getting such sort of artwork, such sort of direction back in the 1990s and now fast forwarding it to the year 2024, you are making your comeback with your new movie. What is the change, the wave of change that you see in cinema, especially when we talk about the direction of a particular content?
Well, we have greater flexibility. There are more stories, and there's more content now with streaming and all the incredible opportunities. We're getting new stars, which is one of my favorite things as a director, to introduce new stars and surprise the audience and surprise myself with the great new chemistry on camera. And I've also noticed in India that the action and the VFX and the passionate performances have come together in a bigger, better way. And I want to shoot here again. I want to incorporate East and West, India and the West, in something new I'm working on as well.
So there you heard Mr. Chuck Russell talking about how OTT's arrival can be a game changer. With camera person Alok, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Goa.
What's still to come here on DD India News Hour? The Indian chess grandmaster D. Gukesh takes on the world champion China's Ding Lin in their first game of the World Championship match 2024.
He's an author, a thinker, and a scholar of international relations. Why are these 7 friends of India and why not the others?
They are partners, but they are very strategic partners. If you want to stretch the friends analogy, they are best friends or maybe best friends forever for India. All the elements we have to be an equal of China and of the United States. We have the population, we have the size, we have the geopolitical location in the heart of the Indian Ocean region.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lin. Some business-related news now. The Indian equities that were struggling for the last 2 months for momentum, they saw a sharp uptick on Monday. The Nifty 50, the Sensex 30, they each rose 1.5% in early trade. The Nifty 50 index, in fact, opened with an upside gap of at 24,253. It touched an intraday high of 24,330 within the few minutes of the opening bell. Now the Sensex on the Bombay Stock Exchange opened upside at 80,193 and logged an intraday rise of 1,355 points. Google and the US government will face off in a federal court on Monday as each side in fact delivers its closing arguments. This is in a case revolving around the technology giant's monopoly in online advertising. The trial is in a Virginia federal court and Google's second ongoing US antitrust case as the US government tries to rein in the power of big tech in general. But in a separate trial, the Washington judge has ruled that Google's search business is an illegal monopoly and that the US Justice Department is asking that Google sell its Chrome browser business to resolve this case. Let's get to the sports news now. India's fast bowlers Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj took 3 wickets apiece as the tourists thrashed Australia by 295 runs in the first test at Perth on Monday. Australia were bowled out for 238 runs after tea on day 4. The paceman Harshit Rana wrapped up the Australian innings and India have now secured a 1-0 lead in the 5-match series. Earlier, India set a massive target of 534 runs for the hosts to chase after centuries from Virat Kohli and Yashasvi Jaiswal. In fact, Australia's batting lineup was mostly outsmarted, barring Travis Head, who made a gritty 89, while Mitchell Marsh chipped in with 47. Skipper Bumrah claimed 8 wickets in the match to lead India to a thumping win. The second test begins in Adelaide on December 6. India have held the Border Gavaskar Trophy since 2016-17. Well, indeed, Naran Singh is following that story and he's with us right now. Naran, one of the best test wins one can see, especially coming after, the drubbing that New Zealand had given to India back home. And this comes under the captaincy of Bumrah, so maybe that's a signal here.
Oh, definitely, Mark, the way things panned out for India here. And as you mentioned that they are coming here after being whitewashed first time in a 3-match test series against New Zealand. And they were low on confidence and coming here. And we know that Perth is a fortress of the Australian team, particularly this stadium, the newly built Optus Stadium. After 2018, they never lost a match here at the Optus Stadium. And they had a record of 4-0 at this stadium. And the kind of cricket India played, definitely kudos to them. And the way they reassembled themselves after thrashing at the hands of New Zealand, we can say that kudos to Bumrah and the selectors also, the way they showed confidence and giving a debut to Harshit Rana and Nitish Kumar Reddy. And it's we can say that the kind of performance they delivered in these situations, especially in the condition where the first day India were all out for 150, then they dismantled the Australian side in their home condition for 104. And after that, I would like to say that the way Bumrah is the man who induced the confidence in the Indian team, the way he bowled. And after that, also the way the young batsman, the young hero of the Indian team, Yashasvi Jaiswal, the way he batted. If you take a look at his test career, he started with the New Zealand, West Indies tour, where he scored 100. But after that, there was a doubt whether he can perform in the Sena countries or not, because in South Africa, the figures were not good. And again, but against the England, where he scored 2 double 100. And then again, here after being out for 0 in the first inning and scoring a 150 plus score when it mattered for most of the India, because the WTC points were also on the line. So a fantastic performance by the Indian team here.
Indeed, and if we look at the Australian team, they have a lot to be, looking introspecting about, especially their star batsmen, Labuschagne and Steve Smith, really looked quite out of sorts. I mean, easily there was huge errors in the way they were batting, easily LBW.
Rightly mentioned, Mark. As you mentioned, especially the top order, the way they bought McSweeney, who too couldn't score runs here, Usman Khwaja. And apart from that, the way you mentioned Steve Smith, we know that he was out of the form, but we know that he's a veteran of the game. And there was a lot of expectation from Steve Smith in such situation, because we know that what kind of record he possessed against the Indian team. So the Australian management were expecting a lot from Steve Smith, but especially the way their star batsmen were failed, the top order failed. Definitely, they will be in radar ahead of the next match. That will be played on December 6th at Adelaide. So they need to we can say that, just address these issues, especially the way their bowlers flunked.
Yes, Naran.
The way showed that it was easy to bowl under these conditions and take wickets.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Naran Singh, for joining us with that update. Now, the Indian chess grandmaster and chess star, 18-year-old Gukesh, is facing the defending champion Ding Lin of China in the FIDE World Chess Championship final in Singapore. It's happening as we speak. Now, this is the first time that the competition features 2 contestants from Asia in its 136-year history. Gukesh has the white pieces in game 1 and has made the first move. The 14th and the final round is slated to be on December 12th. And that's if they reach 14 rounds, because a player who reaches 7.5 points will be declared winner. It can happen before 14 rounds as well, with the next day demarcated for tie breaks if needed.
Striking exchanges finessed with wisdom and nerve. Each move prescient. I would like to invite...
Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, you can get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lin from all of us here in Delhi. Thank you very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.